The newest addition to World of Tanks skins is here, and this is the T110E4, and of course representing that new skin where you've got all of these camo rags shoved all over the tank. I mean, personally it looks okay. I don't think that this is the best skin by any means, but it definitely looks quite nice, and we're going to have two replays showcasing the T110E4 today, where we're going to see how well this thing can perform in game and why there's really no reason you would ever play something like a T110E3, and I mean to a degree even things like the E100, because of the fact that the T110E4 gets an extra 100 alpha damage over the E100. The armor model is slightly worse, but not really too much to the point where you're going to notice it a whole lot. The mobility is fairly the same, and so essentially what you've got here is a E100 with an extra 100 hit points of damage that it can deal. So really nice to see, but it can be a little bit disappointing if you do find yourself coming up against multiple tanks at once, because you have such a long reload. But remember, you can utilise the fact that you have that high alpha to of course take 3/4 of the hit points of tier 8 vehicles, and not just any tier 8 vehicle, the tier 8 heavies in the game. Now today's replay is of course on the original / new version of Airfield, which is Sunset Coast, and I say it's the new but original is that this came out after Airfield. Airfield of course then got removed, we were then left with Sunset Coast, and now Wargaming have come back and actually re-released Airfield, so we've now got a new old map. So yeah, it's a weird one, but either way, this map variant of course has a ton more trees, there's a lot more foliage, it is a jungle theme as well, so you've got all of that in one, and that's really where this tank kind of shines through on a map like this, because you can remain undetected until you deal that 850 damage, and then you can kind of just chill out. You can then decide what you want to do from there and come away with some ridiculous amounts of damage, and that's what this replay is going to showcase. Now, we have so far been pretty lackluster in how much damage we've done. I mean, 2,500 in a tier 10 is by no means particularly great, but you know, hopefully we'll be able to get some more. Unfortunately for me here, I didn't even manage to pen the 780 because I kind of didn't aim 100%, and we ended up just managing to track him. But either way, we still got 800 assistance, which isn't bad. I've taken a few hits now, but we want to make sure that we avoid any potential Turan hits, because the Turan has been up in B1 and 2, and he can potentially get some shells onto us if he does get lucky. We're of course trying to aim at the 705A, which we do manage to do, and then the Barask on the enemy team does it and manage to pen us. Amarakos of course, because if you're an American tank, it's pretty much a given that every time you get hit, you're going to take to get one, either your Amarak or a fire happen. But you can see here the SU-101 on the enemy team kind of out in the open. We're trying to aim, we've got a shot finally, and then of course he pulls back, and then we try and then go for the shell anyway, since we know he's going to probably still be there, or at least in the same vicinity, but unfortunately only managed to track. So, I wonder what happens with the T110E4 when opponents try and YOLO you, or at least don't really, well, they don't understand the fact that this tank has the alpha that it has, and obviously is played by someone that isn't a complete bot, to the point where, you know, you can sit there, you can farm up some damage and come away with the result that you'd probably be very happy with. And you can see here the Object 780 does indeed, well, another 780 does indeed get away with the fact of only being tracked, which is so much fun. But now we are down to just AP rounds. We fired a lot of premium rounds in this game. I apologise, it wasn't actually, well, it was intended, but we only meant to fire it at one vehicle, and so just because I wasn't paying attention, we've managed to fire them all, and that means that it's not particularly the best time to run out of rounds, considering there's 2 heavy tanks on the enemy team left and they're right next to me. Now, if we do need premium rounds, it doesn't matter, because to be honest with you, you've got 280 pen anyway, so more than enough to go through most vehicles in the game. You don't actually need premium. Premium is pretty much there for if you want to just auto pen E100 and Maus turrets and things like that. Type 5 heavies, just auto aiming them with premium rounds. That's essentially what all they are for. Now in this game, it's now 6 on 7. We've done 5,000 damage, and we're just trying now to finish off some of these tanks like the 780 and the 705, because we want to get rid of them before the Turan and some of the mediums start arriving and trying to take me out. Now we get behind the rock, I'm thinking the Turan is probably aiming. I then decide, you know what, it's probably time to help out the teammate with the 780, so we do pick up an extra 800 damage. And of course pick up 7,100 damage so far. The Turan as well gets spotted, and so we find him out in the open. Just wait for him to maybe come back around. We have no idea whether he's going to do that or not, but we'll keep an eye out. And to be honest with you, this is a very good defendable position if you are finding yourself in this sort of matchup. Beware though, people on top of the hill can hit you, and unfortunately they quite often do. Now the Turan on the enemy team takes a lovely hit from us, and we pick up nearly 8,000 damage within this replay so far. But there is still 3 vehicles on the enemy team left alive, and if I wasn't a complete idiot, I would have actually fully aimed and hit the AMX 13105, but obviously the brain power at this point was lacking in myself, and we tried to go for the blind fire, or not blind fire but YOLO shot whilst free aiming. Didn't end up happening, of course, but at least we can try and push forward to break the 8,000 damage mark potentially, but we'll have to wait and see. Of course, we've picked up 845 assistance damage and we blocked 1,700 nearly, so a good game either way. The game could literally end right now and it would still be fantastic. But you can see me now just trying to push forward towards the final damage of the game. Maybe we will be able to pick up just a little bit more if we can get there. Of course, the speed of the T124 being able to go pretty much 35 kilometers an hour is lackluster, but maybe we'll get there. The 430-2 does actually pull back and gets taken out by the M60. So that is the final damage that we get within this replay. But we do have one more, and let's have a look at what the stats say of this one. Victory, of course, 1,472 base experience, 7,947 damage, 3 kills, and a good result there indeed. Of course, we do manage to come top in the game on experience and pick up a high caliber and a Confederate medal with a 95% badge. Yeah, not a bad one. And of course, the fact that we didn't get a mastery badge pretty much tells you everything you need to know about the damage requirements for the T124. Next up, we have, of course, got Cliff, and the T124 on this map is a very, very good one because you can use the gun depression that this tank gets. It actually does get some, which, I mean, if you were to compare it once again to the E100, you know, it's always nice to get that slight advantage, even if it is only minor. The good thing with this tank as well is the fact that you have fairly good accuracy and you also get decent view range, considering that this tank is a tank destroyer and plays like a heavy. The only problem I have with this is that the raised engine deck at the back can definitely be a bit of a pain, because a lot of people will actually aim from that if you decide to angle, since it is a weak point. And people can do that quite easily. You're seeing me here just trying to pre-aim this T62. Decide to go for the YOLO shot. I mean, if I really thought about it, I probably would have waited a second if I'd known that he was going to keep on poking. I was expecting him to fully pull down and not poke it again. But his teammates are now moving up. We've got a T125, and then the T62 decides he's going to go all the way out into the open. So we've got no problems in penning him. Now the E5 and the T62 both trying to crest to get a shot onto me. Not particularly the best idea, to be honest with you, and we're going for the shell here. Unfortunately don't manage to pen, but what we do find out is that there are people in the base already. So this is a unusual scenario for the most part. You don't often see this happen at all within World of Tanks. And so I guess we're just hoping that we can farm up some damage from this side. The reason you don't see it in World of Tanks is because it never works trying to rush over there when you've got tanks that are sat on ridge lines, literally pre-aiming where you're going to be. And of course it only takes a light tank to go and spot you. It's not going to end up very well. It's like the Guns of Navarone or whatever the film is, where they're all sat on top of the ridge lines just shooting down. I mean, it's never a good sign. But either way, 1,700 damage done, and it's time to push forward. And by pushing forward, I just mean trying to find some area over here where we can get some shells of damage on the potential 780. There's loads of vehicles that kind of pull out, and unfortunately for the 780 he does indeed pull out into the wrong vehicle, which is of course the T124. And we set him on fire, which is nice, but there's still a little bit of damage left in this game, as you can expect with the team still having 10 vehicles. And when you find yourself up against the side of a bar, no one is going to complain whatsoever. The M46 decides he's going to try and join the fighting and try and deal with me, but it's probably not going to end all too well for him. Now the Astron Rex does indeed get spotted, and we land around into him. Always good to see. We're basically acting as a spotter, at least to a degree, for our vehicles over here. And now it's the typical, when the enemy team do in fact go down, we are essentially just picking them apart at this point. And there you go, 5,500 damage done so far with 600 assists, so 6,100 combined. Not a bad result whatsoever, and it's just about time we start moving forward. The Astron Rex then gets shut down by myself, the Vengeance also taken out, and now the enemy tank destroyers are nowhere to be seen. I don't think anyone is actually over on this side, or if they are, they're camping in a bush somewhere. I don't know if we get any more damage, but we'll have to wait and see. But I'll take this opportunity to ask you to actually like the video if you did enjoy this one, or if you enjoy the E4 at all. Yeah, let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you aren't already, then please do subscribe, as it massively helps out the channel. And of course, you'll be notified when a video goes live, such like this one. But other than that, of course, let's have a look at the results of this battle. We've got 5,695 damage, 1,300 base experience, 2 kills, and we came second in the game in terms of experience. But yeah, definitely first on damage done. But other than that, I hope you did enjoy this video, and I hope you join me in the next one. Goodbye.